Welcome. Today we're diving into the essentials of climate-related financial disclosures, focusing on the TCFD recommendations. Since the Paris Agreement in 2015, the urgency to address climate change has only grown. The Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures, or TCFD, was established to help companies, investors, and insurers make informed decisions by providing guidance on managing climate-related risks and opportunities. In this video, we'll walk through practical steps and real-world examples to help your business align with these global standards. Let's start by understanding why climate disclosures matter and how they can drive a more sustainable, low-carbon economy. TCFD recommendations are built around 4 core pillars: governance, strategy, risk management, and metrics and targets. Each pillar addresses a different aspect of how organizations should approach climate-related issues. Governance focuses on oversight and leadership, strategy on the business impacts, risk management on identifying and handling risks, and metrics and targets on measuring and tracking progress. Understanding these pillars is crucial, as they form the backbone of effective climate-related disclosures and help companies communicate their climate resilience to stakeholders. Internationally, there's been significant progress in harmonizing sustainability reporting. In 2021, the IFRS Foundation announced the creation of the International Sustainability Standards Board, ISSB, aiming to develop a single set of global standards. The ISSB's initial focus is on climate-related reporting, building on TCFD's work. This global movement is pushing companies everywhere to improve their climate disclosures, making it easier for investors and regulators to compare and assess climate risks and opportunities across markets. Hong Kong is taking decisive steps to align with TCFD recommendations. By 2025, climate-related disclosures will be mandatory across relevant sectors. The Hong Kong Exchanges and Clearing Limited, HKEX, is actively reviewing its ESG reporting framework to further align with TCFD, collaborating with regulators to develop a roadmap for adopting new standards. This proactive approach ensures that Hong Kong remains at the forefront of sustainable finance and corporate transparency. Guidance on climate disclosures is designed to help companies, especially those new to climate reporting, navigate the TCFD recommendations. It addresses common challenges like lack of expertise, unclear roles, and insufficient resources. By breaking down the process into clear, actionable steps, the guide empowers companies to start their climate disclosure journey with confidence, ensuring they meet upcoming regulatory requirements and stakeholder expectations. Implementing TCFD recommendations is an iterative process, best approached in 8 steps. Establish governance, formulate climate scenarios, identify and prioritize risks, map business impacts, choose metrics and targets, develop an action plan, assess financial impacts, and integrate findings into business strategy. Each step builds on the previous one, creating a feedback loop that helps companies continuously improve their climate resilience and reporting. First step is establishing a robust governance structure. This involves clarifying the roles and responsibilities of the board and management in overseeing climate-related issues. The board sets the strategic direction and ensures adequate resources, while management implements policies and monitors progress. Regular training and clear accountability are essential to ensure both groups stay informed and effective in managing climate risks. It's important to distinguish between the board's and management's roles. The board focuses on approving and monitoring climate strategies, ensuring resources are available, and integrating climate issues into business planning. Management, on the other hand, is responsible for implementing these strategies, maintaining data systems, and coordinating across departments. Both must work together, with climate issues being a shared responsibility across the organization. There are 2 main approaches to climate governance: the integrated approach and the dedicated approach. The integrated approach weaves climate responsibilities into existing committees, such as audit or risk committees. The dedicated approach creates a standalone committee, like a sustainability committee, focused solely on climate issues. Each has its benefits and drawbacks, and the best choice depends on your company's culture, resources, and expertise. The integrated approach: climate-related issues are embedded into the mandates of existing committees. For example, the Risk Management Committee oversees climate risks, the Audit Committee reviews disclosures, and the Nomination Committee considers climate expertise in board appointments. This approach ensures climate issues are considered alongside traditional business functions, promoting a holistic view of risk and opportunity. Dedicated approach involves creating a specific committee, such as a Climate or Sustainability Committee, to focus exclusively on climate-related matters. This committee coordinates climate strategy, reviews targets, and communicates with other committees to ensure alignment. An optional ESG working group may support policy implementation and progress tracking. This structure allows for in-depth discussion and focused leadership on climate issues. Selecting the right governance structure depends on your company's size, culture, and management style. Consider whether your existing committees have the capacity and expertise to handle climate issues, or if a dedicated committee would be more effective. Collaboration between committees is encouraged to prevent climate policies from being developed in isolation and to ensure integration with core business functions. In preparing climate governance disclosures, cover key elements such as the board's and management's roles, oversight processes, readiness, and accountability. Clearly describe how climate issues are integrated into long-term strategy, how performance is monitored, and how departments coordinate to manage risks. This transparency builds trust with stakeholders and demonstrates your company's commitment to climate resilience. Let's look at a sample disclosure from HYCO, a hypothetical conglomerate. HYCO's board oversees climate issues biannually, supported by a sustainability committee chaired by an independent director. The committee includes senior management from various functions and meets quarterly to monitor climate-related policies and performance. Climate targets are set at the management level and reviewed by the board, ensuring integration into business strategy and regular training for board members. Further strengthen climate governance, companies can engage external climate experts, include climate performance in remuneration reviews, appoint C-suite leaders for climate issues, and have external parties evaluate committee effectiveness. These enhancements ensure robust oversight and continuous improvement, keeping your company ahead of regulatory and stakeholder expectations. Next step is conducting climate scenario analysis. This process helps companies understand the potential impacts of climate-related risks under different future conditions. Scenario analysis isn't about predicting the future, but about exploring a range of plausible outcomes to build flexible, resilient strategies. Scenarios can be qualitative, quantitative, or a mix of both, and should be reviewed regularly as new data emerges. Climate risks are generally divided into two categories: physical and transition risks. Physical risks stem from the direct impacts of climate change, like floods or heat waves. Transition risks arise from the shift to a low-carbon economy, such as new regulations, market changes, or technological advancements. Both types of risks can significantly affect business operations, costs, and revenues. In conducting scenario analysis, it's crucial to define the scope and boundaries. Decide whether to focus on major operations, the entire group, or even the supply chain. The scope should reflect your company's most material business activities. Smaller companies may focus on direct operations, while larger ones might include broader impacts. There are several publicly available climate scenarios you can use or adapt, such as the IPCC's Representative Concentration Pathways, RCPs, Shared Socioeconomic Pathways, SSBs, and scenarios from the International Energy Agency, IEA, and the Network for Greening the Financial System, NGFS. These scenarios cover a range of physical and socioeconomic impacts, helping companies assess risks under both stringent and high-emission pathways. For effective analysis, companies should develop at least two contrasting scenarios: a stringent, low-carbon pathway, turquoise scenario, and a high-emissions, business-as-usual pathway, brown scenario. The turquoise scenario assumes strong climate action and lower physical risks, while the brown scenario assumes limited action and higher physical risks. Comparing these helps companies understand the range of possible impacts and prepare accordingly. Turquoise scenarios project lower temperature increases, moderate sea level rise, and stable economic development with strong climate policies. Brown scenarios, on the other hand, forecast higher temperatures, greater sea level rise, and more severe climate impacts due to policy inertia and continued reliance on fossil fuels. Understanding these characteristics helps companies assess their vulnerabilities and opportunities under different futures. After selecting scenarios, identify the physical and transition risk parameters most relevant to your business. For example, a manufacturing plant might focus on heat waves, flooding, and policy changes. Consider the business nature, location, and potential impacts on operations, costs, and revenues. This targeted approach ensures your analysis is meaningful and actionable. Let's look at HYCO's approach. For physical risks, HYCO identified heat waves, sea level rise, flooding, and extreme weather as relevant to its Guangzhou plant. For transition risks, policy changes, technology upgrades, and market preferences were key. By mapping these parameters, HYCO could assess how each scenario might impact its operations and financial performance. In disclosing scenario analysis, clearly state the parameters used, assumptions made, and analytical choices. For example, HYCO analyzed two-time horizons, 2030 and 2050, under both low and high emissions scenarios, specifying carbon prices, renewable energy mix, and exposure to extreme weather. Transparency in your methodology builds stakeholder confidence and supports better decision-making. HYCO's disclosure details its use of RCP26 and RCP85 scenarios, covering all business operations. Key parameters include carbon price, renewable energy, electric vehicles, sea level rise, and extreme weather. Assumptions are clearly outlined, such as projected carbon prices and the expected dominance of EVs by 2050. This level of detail helps stakeholders understand the company's risk exposure and preparedness. Climate policies and physical risks can vary by location. For instance, Hong Kong and Shanghai have different targets for renewable energy, green buildings, and carbon pricing. When conducting scenario analysis, companies should research local policies and use relevant data to ensure their analysis reflects the specific risks and opportunities in each operating region. Third step is identifying and prioritizing climate-related risks. Start with an industry-level risk review by analyzing peer publications, engaging with risk owners, and monitoring industry trends. This approach helps you gather a comprehensive list of risks relevant to your business and ensures you don't overlook emerging threats. Climate-related risks can be policy and legal, like increased carbon pricing or new regulations, market and technology, such as changing customer preferences or technology shifts, reputation, stakeholder concerns, and physical acute events like floods or chronic changes like rising temperatures. Recognizing these categories helps you build a complete risk inventory. Engaging stakeholders, both internal and external, is vital for identifying risks that may not be apparent from management's perspective alone. Focus groups, surveys, and interviews can provide valuable insights into how climate risks might impact different parts of your business and help prioritize issues that matter most to your stakeholders. Once risks are identified, prioritize them using qualitative or quantitative methods. Qualitative evaluation relies on management discussions and expert input, while quantitative scoring uses rating systems to assess likelihood, impact, adaptability, and recovery. Both methods help allocate resources to the most pressing risks and ensure effective risk management. A qualitative approach involves management discussions to assess and prioritize risks based on experience and judgment. Regular training and capacity building are essential to ensure management stays up to date on climate issues. External experts can provide additional insights, but the process should be tailored to your company's context and evolving risk landscape. Quantitative scoring uses defined criteria and rating scales to assess risks. For example, you might rate risks on a scale from 1 to 4 for financial loss, reputation damage, adaptability, and recovery. This structured approach enables statistical analysis and helps ensure consistency and objectivity in risk prioritization. In identifying and prioritizing risks, be aware of common biases like availability bias, overweighting recent events, confirmation bias favoring existing beliefs, groupthink conforming to group opinions, and status quo bias resisting change. Actively challenging these biases leads to more accurate and comprehensive risk assessments. In disclosing your risk identification and prioritization process, describe the methods used, the criteria for prioritization, and the list of material risks. Transparency about your process and choices helps stakeholders understand your risk management approach and builds confidence in your climate resilience. ICO's Sustainability Committee conducted an industry-level risk review, engaged management from different departments, and held focus groups with stakeholders. Using quantitative scoring, they prioritized risks based on likelihood, impact, adaptability, and recovery. The final list included policy changes, investor concerns, extreme weather, and shifts in consumer preferences, all validated by the risk committee and board. Climate risk identification and prioritization is not a one-time exercise. Regularly revisit your risk assessments as new data, regulations, and stakeholder expectations emerge. Continuous improvement ensures your company remains resilient and responsive to the evolving climate landscape. After prioritizing risks, map them to your business operations. Identify which parts of your business are most exposed to climate-related risks and how these risks could impact your value chain. This mapping helps target mitigation efforts and ensures resources are allocated where they're needed most. Choosing the right metrics, indicators, and targets is essential for tracking progress on climate action. Metrics might include greenhouse gas emissions, energy use, or the percentage of renewable energy. Setting clear, measurable targets enables ongoing monitoring and demonstrates your commitment to climate goals. Develop a climate action plan that prioritizes, implements, and monitors actions against your targets. The plan should detail specific initiatives, responsible parties, timelines, and progress tracking. A well-structured action plan ensures accountability and drives continuous improvement. Assess the financial impacts of climate-related risks and actions on your business. This includes analyzing how risks might affect revenues, costs, assets, and liabilities under different scenarios. Quantifying financial impacts helps inform strategic decisions and supports transparent reporting to investors. Finally, integrate climate-related impacts and actions into your long-term business strategy. This ensures climate resilience is embedded in decision-making, resource allocation, and growth planning. An integrated approach positions your company for long-term success in a low-carbon economy. Remember, the climate disclosure journey is iterative. Each step provides feedback to the others, allowing for continuous refinement and adaptation. Regularly update your analysis, metrics, and strategies as new information becomes available, ensuring your disclosures remain relevant and robust. To deepen your understanding, explore resources like the TCFD Knowledge Hub, World Economic Forum's Climate Governance Principles, and series, Board Toolkits. These materials offer practical guidance, case studies, and tools to support your climate disclosure journey and enhance your company's climate competence. In summary, aligning with TCFD recommendations involves clear governance, robust scenario analysis, comprehensive risk identification, and transparent disclosures. By following the 8-step process and leveraging available resources, your company can build climate resilience, meet regulatory expectations, and create long-term value for stakeholders. Now is the time to start or enhance your climate disclosure journey. Engage your board and management, leverage expert guidance, and use the tools and frameworks discussed in this video. By taking action today, you'll position your company for a sustainable, low-carbon future and meet the growing expectations of investors, regulators, and society.